So what is this mystery? It's pretty much the descending of God, the Word. What this states is that God the Word, he came down, took natural flesh and natural soul from the Virgin Mary, met us down where we're at. If you don't know, there's a common theme in a lot of religion that says you have to get to God. Though God in this case came down to us. And it is the revelation of the greatest love that God has after 5,500 years of hope and actualization of the promise that God gave to Adam. And it is also one of the centralities of our faith. That's why it's part of the 5 pillars of our faith. Our literal name, Tawahedo, Tigrayan Orthodox Tawahedo. Tawahedo means made one or united. Translating into Greek, Mia, one composite. The nature of God, eternal, immortal, infinitely holy, all-knowing, almighty, everywhere, creator. This is what we need to know in order to understand the rest. This is just the basics. There are a lot more. But what about man? He has a beginning, right? But does he have an end? But does man have an end? This is a question. Anyone can answer this.
Man has end, but Christ doesn't have any end.
What?
Wait, what was your question again?
Does man have an end?
Yes.
No. He
Wait,
doesn't.
man, what do you mean? Man.
No.
Us.
No, man doesn't. No, I think you're saying this. The body, yes, it has a beginning and end. It grows.
Yeah, what about the soul, though? Soul.
It goes forever. The soul lasts forever. That's why it's called everlasting. What? It's not like the eternal. Eternal is for God only. Alphan Omegan for God. It's also mortal because of the consequences of Adam's sin, as you know. It's infinitely holy. That means we have a capacity for righteousness, for holiness. That's why we have the apostles. But it is also limited in capabilities of holiness. That's why.
Hold up. Nanay, if you could mute yourself, Yakin and Nanay, please.
Yeah?
Mute yourself. Yeah, mute it. Yeah, okay. We're hearing noises, alright.
So that's why the prophets were able to be extremely righteous. They were able to pray for others, do all these godly and great things. Yet they were also very inclined to sin. That's one of the corruptions that we had from Adam. It is temporarily. It is kind of known. We don't know what's going on the other side of the world, right? We know what's going on now. So we're kind of knowing, but not all knowing. Mighty, kind of mighty, not almighty, kind of. One place. We're only able to be in one place at all time. We can't be in 2 places at the same time. And we are created. Beginning, no end. So why did Christ become man by the flesh? Well, to remove the death that started with Adam. If you don't know why, because Adam, you want to know what he did? When he ate the forbidden fruit, he wasn't hungry. If he was hungry, there were many other fish to eat. But God told him not to eat this one. And he said that if you do it, you're gonna die. But right after he ate it, he didn't immediately die. He died much later. So what happened? He spiritually died. You want to know what that means? Spiritual death is the separation of the soul from God. So now there's a death that's in place. So God, if God were to come in, if God were to just break the barrier, it's not going to be enough. It needs both God and man because they're both separated. There needs to be a bridge, both God and both man. You see? And to fix the image of God in us and to give us the likeness of God. Now I know what you're thinking. What? Don't we already have them? But the image of God in us, yes, it's there. I'm not saying it's not. But it's tarred. We have the ability to choose for our thing. We can think for ourselves. We're not slaves. But it's very fallen. Imagine if I were to say hey, here's the left thing. This is wrong. Don't do it. But here, this is the right thing. It's good. Do it. how many of us would go to the left? That's the corruption that we have. And to re-give us the likeness of God. We don't have the likeness anymore. We're working to receive that. If you don't know, the likeness is not a simile for, like, a synonym for image. No, it's not. Likeness has its own separate meaning. Likeness means like God is holy, we must be holy. God is immortal, we must be immortal. God has dominion over all creation, we must have dominion over all creation. Like that. But we don't have that anymore. So that's what's going on. And to destroy the works of the devil and to remove the wall of sin. To remove the wall of sin, okay, that's it. Like, we already talked about that before. So, to destroy the works of the devil, though. What do you mean, works of the devil? The devil tried to start this. He did this out of envy. Evil, So, he needed to... So, God, he came down and became man to destroy those works. And next, to reveal himself clearly to his creation. Because if you didn't know, mankind, anything it sees, like a tree, the sun, the moon, even the sky, it turns automatically into an object of worship, if you didn't know. So God came down to like fix this perception of creation because it's not to be worshipped. And he showed that he is Lord over all of creation, and therefore he should be worshipped. And to fulfill the covenant that he made to humanity. If you don't know about this book, it's called the Book of Adam and Eve. I recommend that you read it. It's in the sources. I'll tell you at the end of the presentation. But he made a promise that in 5,500 years that he would send his word to save him. That's what's going on. And to fulfill the longing of the angels and the fathers. To fulfill this longing, the angels, it says that like there are some things that the angels desire to look into. And one of these things is the incarnation. And the fathers, like the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Abraham almost sacrificed Isaac because God told him to. But God stopped him, as it was a test. But this is like sort of a foreshadowing of Christ's death and Christ's resurrection. Abraham was going to send Isaac and kill him, but he got him back alive. Similarly so, Christ came down to die, but he comes back risen. And a lot more. But all of these were these acts of looking towards the incarnation. And next, finally, but definitely not least, to be our perfect example, teacher, and guide. Now there are so many ways to like here's how to forgive, here's how to love others, here's how to be kind. But Christ, he showed us the perfect way of doing it. Like, here's what you do, here's what you don't do. But he didn't just say like, do this, don't do it, but he didn't care. Like, no, he showed it. You see? He taught us how to pray. He showed us how to pray. He submitted to God's will he submitted to the Father's will no matter what. He also forgave all those that were crucifying him. What did he say on the cross? Father, have mercy on them, for they know not what they do. Even when he was suffering. So he knows all of our struggles. So we can just go to him. He's the most relatable person we have of God. Next, why did he become man by the Spirit? The previous one was by the flesh. This is by the Spirit. 1, to break the power of sin and death. The power of sin and death is that like it came through human seed. That's what it came through. It came through human seed. But Christ, he was not born of human seed. He was born of Saint Mary, the Virgin Mary. So he broke this chain and therefore broke the very power that sin and death, besides from the fear of death and the finality of death, that they use to like essentially puppeteer their slaves. And number 2, to make us children of God through the Holy Spirit. God, like Christ, God, the Word, he became man by what? The Holy Spirit, by the Holy Spirit. So now we know that he's the Son of God. He is God. God the Son, right? So if he's the Son of God, that means we can become children through God by baptism, being born again, and confirmation, being anointed with holy oil, being anointed with holy oil, and therefore being one with, therefore being a child of God through the Holy Spirit, not by man. To protect the Virgin Mary and preserve the mystery of the Incarnation. There is something that was going on here. Satan, he had a plan. He was going to all right, once he's born, I'm gonna make them accuse her, that person of adultery. They're gonna condemn her to stoning. But guess what? God, so pretty much they sent Joseph to be by her side. So now they can't necessarily condemn her because now Joseph is by her side. But technically they're not husbands. They're not husband and wife. They're just fiancés, I guess. To prevent Christ from being killed before his appointed time. This is pretty much what this was, is what would happen? You saw it with Herod. The attempt with Herod, at least. If everyone knew about Christ, the whole world, they would try to kill him before he is necessary, before the proper time. So God, he prevented this from happening, and they were born into a manger. Very few people knew about it. Just a small select few. And number 5, to conceal God's saving plan from his enemies until the proper time. Because if they knew, then they would try to stop it because they don't want this happening. They're enemies of God. So they don't want this happening. They would try to kill Christ before the proper time. So, therefore, God prevented them, and Christ was born in the manger where no one knew. Almost no one knew. A select few. Again, select few. They knew, and therefore, Christ was allowed to pass through his earthly life without everyone knowing the full truth at once. But all of these, they could be defeated by this one question. God, he doesn't have to take place, okay? This is a choice. So why did he? Why did he? If he is God, then why did he do that? Keep in mind, God is omnipotent, one of the natures. He's able to do all things. But why? To show us his greatest possible love. Because imagine this. If you were to order, imagine you have a date, you're going to order food for them. You're just ordering food for them. You're paying, but you're ordering food. And then it's there. It's very good, but it's just ordered, right? But if you physically go through the labors of making it yourself, planting the seeds, the fruits, and then growing up the cattle and animals that you're going to be using to make the meal, how much more love is that? The second option, right? Because it shows a lot more love, a lot more care, a lot more delicacy into it. That's what he did here. So we're going to go into some theological depth now, after all of that. So, let's first start with how did this not happen. This is a hard one. Why not positive energy? Because this is just as, I would honestly argue, this is just as important as the how it did happen. Because how would you know if heresy knocks on your door? So, how did it happen? How did it not happen necessarily? Without confusion. If you don't know what confusion is, it's when coffee and milk are mixed together. What happens to the color of the coffee? It changes. It becomes slowly lighter. The milk becomes slowly darker, right? It gives up some of its light to accept the darkness of the coffee. But the coffee gives up some of its darkness to accept the light of the milk. And so it becomes into something new. Next, change. It's like when you combine two things and then you change them, and then they become something completely different. Both of them, they're no longer the same. Like when you combine two colors of Play-Doh. They're not the same anymore. They're a completely different color. That's not what happened. None of these are what happened. Separation. When you they're like when you separate a pen, a little piece of the pen that you write with, from its outer body, right? just to like make it work, and then you put it back in. Right? I don't have a pen on me. I can show you, but yeah, you're just gonna have to trust me. That's not what happened either. Or division. Imagine if you were to like pour in some water, and then you put in oil. You can try it so hard. You can like mix them with a spoon. They will not mix. You can guarantee that. That's guaranteed. They're two separate substances, one cup though. That's also not what happened. So how did this happen? Some unique heresies actually. The Catholic belief. Two natures that essentially like they flip-flop. Like Christ did so and so in his humanity, and then he did so and so in his divinity. Or an historian